Good afternoon on what is a bright, warm but breezy day. It is Thursday, September the 1st. I've got a nice hot cup of tea. And a box to unbox. So let's get the knife to it. There we go. And opening up what I've got is that, and some of you may recognise that style of lettering. It's particularly used by one gaming publisher. Pulling the bit out. I've got to sell bits and pieces. You don't need those, and I don't need those either. But what I've got inside is this. Okay, classic Pocket Box Games bundle, published December 2019 by Steve Jackson Games, and this contains not one, not two, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different games. So opening up, we have. It's a whole big bundle, like this. So I'm going to open up these. I'm not going to open up these. I'm going to look at these individually on their own over the course of further unboxings, because let's not spoil everything all at once. But inside we have one-page Bulge, Necromancer, Raid on Iran. Beneath that we have Undead. And beneath Necromancer we have Awful Green Things from Outer Space. And beneath Raid on Iran we have Kung Fu 2100. And underneath that we have, I believe these are going to be poster prints. So this is from Raid on Iran. And I've got one also, just to see if I can get a hold of these. Don't want to come out of the box. I just don't want to quite tightly placed in the. There we go. Now they're coming out. And there's one for Kung Fu 2100 and Necromancer. Okay, so if you remember, which possibly you don't, but back in the late 70s and early 80s, Metagaming and then Steve Jackson Games, who took over that mantle, did a series of little pocket games like Raid on Iran. Okay, a classic returns. This reproduction was created from the best copy of the original we could find. Every component was painstakingly scanned, touched, and reproduced to be as form as near identical as the original games we could manage. Includes retro style rules, map and count sheets, as well as a second set of die cut counters. So it's all going to be like that on the back, saying this is the best that we could do, and so on. And that's fine. There's no explanation of what these games are, which may well be a bit disappointing. But what they are is micro games. Micro games, are mini games, little war games, primarily war games back in the day, like, for example, the one-page Bulge and Raid on Iran, where everything would be the rules would be kept to a minimum, tokens would be kept to a minimum, play space would be kept to a minimum, and the end product would cost you, a few dollars. Basically $5 was a good price for this sort of thing. Metagaming ones came in little boxes, the original version of these from Steve Jackson Games came in Ziploc bags, and originally games such as Ogre and Melee would also have been part of that range, and of course Melee itself has been upgraded to be have its own boxed sets like this, and you can buy them separately. You can buy them as sort of packages and sort of like build them bit by bit. So you have a complete little game set in a series. These of course have been out of print for many decades. Back when I got into gaming, they were easily available, and I know sort of like towards the end of the point where Games Workshop had a big sale of getting rid of all its stock, I managed to get not necessarily a lot of these, but a lot of the games from Metagaming and also Task Force games, you know, that were generally pocket friendly and offered a lot of gameplay for their content. In many ways, these are kind of essentially filler games before you would play like a bigger war game or a role-playing game, you know, or you didn't have a lot of time. Anyway, so what happened was that Steve Jackson Games decided to bring them back to Get Back and do them as a classic pocket-based games bundle. So in the future I will be unboxing all of these and doing a proper chat and proper review about them and talking about them to the best extent of my ability for roughly 10 minutes or so. So think of this as an introduction to the classic pocket box games bundle published by Steve Jackson Games. These all went through Kickstarter. I wasn't able to do that at the time, but I have been able to find a copy of this since, and happy to do so, because these are actually some of the games I wanted to play back in the day but didn't, because there were other things to buy, you know, my pocket money and then my job money was limited, and I was much more into Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing than I was into little board games. These days I was still very much into role-playing more than I am board games, but these nevertheless this box set intrigues me, and it's going to be fascinating to write about these. You know, well, basically, what is now 40 years on since their original publication. Some of them, like let's see, this one, Awful Green Things from Outer Space. That one's been published again and again and again. You know, it's remained a perennial classic, a favourite two-player game in which you know, the crew have to, one player of the crew has to fend off essentially an attack by the awful green things from outer space, and whilst the other alien player runs around multiplying and attacking the crew, attempting to take over the ship. And the fun thing is that the players don't know what the crew players don't know what's going to affect the aliens the best. Anyway, that's this box set. I'll just hold it up like that so you can see. Nicely tightly packed. Comes, and I really like the box set. It really comes in its own box and everything. You can have the complete series in here. You know, with a very little space. And the other interesting thing is that these range of games also included some other classics which aren't in here. So when they would eventually turn up in the little clamp box shell games, because there wasn't very much to them, little plastic boxes, and that's primarily where I got into them. So things like Car Wars was the original format. It was sort of like one of the original formats for that, and then Ogre, original basically asymmetrical mini war games, and then Globo is one that's really difficult to get hold of, and of course Illuminati. Illuminati is a little board game that I did actually manage to play with my family a bit, because it was amusing and silly. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a box, and then another unbox, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do hit that subscribe button down below. In the meantime, thanks again for watching another unboxing of the Nook. I'll be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.